Welcome back to After the Midnight, everybody.
This week we are discussing track 8 off of Endless Summer, Vampires.
And we are so excited to have a special guest this week, Thomas Edinger.
Thomas was kind enough to send us over some answers to some questions, talk a little bit about how the track came to be, and also play a little bit of the song for us. So let's listen to what Thomas has to say.
Hi, my name is Thomas Edinger. I play saxophone on a lot of the Midnight tunes, and I'm here in Copenhagen to talk about the Midnight and Vampires and saxophone. But first I want to give a big shout out to Zach and Ryan from After the Midnight podcast. These guys are doing an amazing job of bringing some background and some deep diving into the songs to you guys, and also reaching out to the people behind the music to bring them on the show and give a little bit more insight to how the songs were recorded.
One thing I'd like to know is how Tim and Thomas met, so we asked him, and here's what he had to say.
I can tell you that Tim and I got together for the first time in 2013 in Los Angeles. I was touring with a band called Lucas Graham. It's a Danish band. They had a big hit with 7 Years. And I was traveling with my tenor saxophone at the time, and Tim and I got in the studio and basically just had a little jam. And I'm pretty sure that Comet was one of the songs that came out of that session.
So another one of the questions that we asked Thomas was what kind of sax he plays on this song.
Most of what I've done for the Midnight has been on the alto saxophone. And actually on this particular alto saxophone, it's Yanagisawa from 1980. It's actually my first saxophone. I bought it secondhand in 1990 here in Denmark. For you saxophone geeks out there, I'm playing a Meyer 5, standard Meyer 5, Van Doren 2.5 reed blue box. And recently I've picked up these nice ligatures from Canadian Mark Jean, and I'm really loving it. Tim got in touch with me in 2016 to do the sax parts for Vampires. He sent over a pretty rough demo, but it already contained the saxophone hook line, which Tim had recorded using a sax sample and a keyboard. All there was to it for me was basically just learn the hook and record it. I was in my studio in Copenhagen and Tim was working from LA, so it was all done remotely between us, sending files back and forth through the internet. With the time difference and everything, it wasn't easy to always be there at the same time. So sometimes it would take us a few days to get the stuff down. I recorded the saxophone part, and I also recorded the solo, and basically sent it off to Tim, and then he did his magic of putting everything together.
To be able to say that is amazing in the time that we live in. The fact that Thomas is in Denmark and Tim's in LA, and that they can just send files back and forth to one another and make it work, you know. And now they've done that, I mean, on several songs. Like Thomas even said there, he's featured on a ton of different Midnight songs. So, you know, in earlier episodes, we actually had some audio where we heard from Tim and heard how they met, you know, and they're both obviously from Denmark and knew each other just through mutual friends. So the fact that Tim reached out to him, you know, so early on, initially obviously he was on Days of Thunder, and then to reach out to him again on this album for not only this song, but you know, 2 other songs as well that we get on Endless Summer.
I'm really happy with how the song turned out, and I'm even more happy that the song became such a big hit for the Midnight. It's one of the songs that I've seen covered the most by people who transcribe it. One particular cover is done by a guy named Yutzi Ion. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I was very impressed when he posted his guitar rendition of Vampires, featuring a note-by-note transcription of my entire solo. So it's such an honor when other musicians really dive into your work and study it to such a deep level. That's a very humbling experience, I'd have to say. Funny story is that a guy once got in touch with me through Twitter. He was asking for sheet music for the saxophone hook on Vampires because he wanted to get a tattoo on whatever part of his body. I'm not sure. The sheet music wasn't available because the whole stuff was just done in the studio by ear, but I actually jotted down the saxophone hook for him and sent it off to him. He has yet to come back with photos of his tattoo, but if you're out there listening, I'm still waiting, bro.
So yeah, if you got that tattoo, come on, man, he's still waiting.
Where you at?
Send that over. That's awesome. I mean, that just shows how much fans love this song and love the band and love the work that Thomas puts in. I mean, I would say Thomas is like the hidden third member of the Midnight. He's been on so many iconic tracks from them with the sax that everybody just loves.
And there's just something about the recorded tracks that Thomas has done with the Midnight where he plays with such enthusiasm and such bravado. I mean, it just cuts through everything else and is so powerful on, all the tracks that we've heard up to this point, and including Vampires. And just to hear his attitude about all of that, to be the artist, to be the one who puts that out there and to get all that recognition, and it just constantly comes back to you, that recognition, that value. I mean, the fact that somebody said, hey, can you send me a note by note transcription of the song so I can go get it tattooed on my body, something that's going to be there for the rest of your life. And the fact that he's so cool and sat down and did it. So whoever that person is, if you follow us on Twitter, where's that tattoo at?
We'd also asked Thomas if he does anything different when recording for the Midnight to kind of get that 80s sound. Is it different from more of his pop stuff today? And here's his answer to that.
I've been a recording saxophone player for many years, and I've played on a bunch of different tunes and music of all kinds, but I'm really happy about the stuff that I've done with Tim and Tyler, and naturally I hope to do some more in the future. It's a certain style and wail that is really close to my heart, and this style of saxophone playing is just something that comes really easy to me because I guess it's such a big part of who I am. If you're interested in other stuff that I do, you can keep up with me on Instagram at Teddings, or you can follow my Facebook page and stay up to date on what I'm doing. Lately, I've been recording quite a bit with a Danish synthwave act called Neon Capital. Go check them out. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.
Just to give you guys a better understanding of some of the artists that he's worked with outside of the Midnight, some of those artists include Lucas Graham, Snoop Dogg.
I was just gonna bring up Snoop, man. I was wondering if you were gonna say that because I know he's got a song with Snoop. In addition to what you said, he's also worked with Jason Derulo, Johnny Logan, Top Gun, Andrew Strong, Fleur East, who was on X Factor, Thomas Helmig, Medina, Mads Langer, Neon Capital, which he had mentioned in his clip earlier. So that was really awesome that Thomas answered our questions. Really great guy. He does awesome work with the saxophone, and he's made the Midnight even better. So another interesting fact about the song, it was actually the second single released for Endless Summer. The first single was Sunset. So this is a song they thought would be the second biggest, and I think they were right. So with that, let's take a listen.
And as I always say, just to remind you guys, we have the stems for this track. And what that means is we have each instrument on an individually recorded track. So the saxophone, drums, synthesizers, all that stuff isolated. As we go through the song, we're going to highlight different parts that we think are cool, just to give you a better understanding of what went into their production process. So be on the lookout for that.
Bass is pretty cool right here, sneaking in.
Strangers in a dark room laughing at jokes they didn't quite hear. Frosted window panes and cheap champagne, a face appears. And anything could happen in these cathedrals we roam.
We got the drums. Definitely more of a builder on the drum side than what we've heard in the last couple songs.
Ooh, that fill. Wow.
Staring out the window of the Roosevelt Hotel, watching Midtown empty out in a kiss of farewell. They say we come from nothing and to nothing will return, and in between is gravity and bridges left to burn.
What would the song be without the saxophone? Here we got Thomas. Future retro keys right here.
Just those driving chords are pretty powerful. Sounds like it's got some effects on it too.
As the song begins its outro, you have the contact flux right here. The lyric structure in the song is really interesting. So it's really only like just 2 verses. There's no hook.
This track is all about the saxophone, honestly. Like, I was just gonna bring that up before you said that the lyrics here are really limited. I mean, I love the picture that Tyler paints in this song. It has some of my favorite Midnight lyrics of all time. But yeah, definitely is dominated by the saxophone for sure.
I believe I've said it in episodes before, but I think that's really what sets the Midnight apart from a lot of other acts within this genre. Tyler's just so introspective at times. He's just so thoughtful and powerful with his lyrics in ways that really make you think. And I feel like sometimes this genre has a lot of like surface level lyrics where his can definitely be that at times, but then other times it just really digs in and you're like, wow, that made me think, or that made me feel something. And that's what I think, makes them an awesome pairing together. You got Tim's awesome production with Tyler's awesome lyrics, and it's just golden. But I'm a fan of songs that have different structure like this. It's almost an instrumental track because his lyrics are so sparse in comparison to the whole 5-minute song. He's only taking up maybe 30 seconds or something. But yeah, I love when bands are able to do that. Synthwave, I think, has a little bit more leeway versus pop and stuff where they can, do different structures and not have to worry about it.
In the limited amount of time that he has on this song, it just paints such a vivid picture of a couple on a winter day. It sounds like, it says frosted window panes in Midtown New York at the Roosevelt Hotel. And yeah, it's just so beautiful. The part about they say we come from nothing and nothing we return. That's can be so broad, but also so powerful. It's like, we're all born and we all die. And in between that is gravity. In between that, you're here, and bridges left to burn, and I think that can be taken a lot of ways, just to me that just, represents kind of growth in almost like a pessimistic way. But I don't know, Tyler just keeps you guessing. He's just barely there. His presence is barely there on this song, but it just makes you walk away and think on those lyrics, and that's why I love him so much.
And those drum fills going into the sax, man.
It's like a rocket ship going off, man. Drums and then just Thomas.
Another tidbit about this song is that Tim once said that it's within the Patrick Bateman universe.
Yeah, so if you guys are familiar with Patrick Bateman or American Psycho, the book or the movie, this song definitely has that vibe to it. Christian Bale playing Patrick Bateman in the movie. He listens to a lot of Huey Lewis in the News, and this just very much fits that vibe of his character and the world kind of around him. I could hear this playing, like in his Walkman headphones because he's so obsessed with music the whole movie. So I love when Tim does that, when he is able to relate cinema to what inspires him musically. We see that more and more as things go on. But yeah, it's a cool little fact to know.
That was awesome. Speaking of awesome, Midnight fans, they sent in why this song means something to them.
Hi, After the Midnight. This is Doug from Ohio. Vampires is an important song in my history as being a fan of the Midnight. It doesn't quite have the emotional weight that a song like Los Angeles or The Comeback Kid do for me, but it's very important because it was my gateway song. It was the first The Midnight song I ever heard, and I sent it to a friend of mine and kind of forgot about it afterwards. But a few months later, he said, "Hey man, I've been listening to these guys. They're coming to Toronto. I'm going to go see them. Do you want to come see them with me?" And I'm like, I hadn't given it a thought, but I went with them, and that was my first show, and it really broke me through into the being a fan and, live music in general. So I still use Vampires as my introduction song to the Midnight to people. When I tell them what my favorite band is and they ask me, what have they done? And I say, well, here, this is a good example. And I think it's, and it is the song that a lot of people hear the first time. And it's for good reason. It's a very, a song that really encompasses kind of the sound, and it's a very good jumping off point. So Vampires is a very important song to me, not for its emotional weight, but for the chain of events it set in motion. So without that song, I wouldn't be here talking to you.
Hey guys, I'm Philip from Switzerland, and I'm really excited to talk about my favorite The Midnight song, Vampires, on here. And first of all, I want to mention that I'm a big fan of the podcast. I love what you guys do for the community, and it's great to have someone like you making this amazing content every day, every week. So yeah, shout out to you guys. I also have to say, Endless Summer is my favorite album of all time. I've never heard another album where every song is 10 out of 10. Every song is so great, including Vampires. And when I first heard Vampires, it was like an instant crush. I was mesmerized right off the bat. I remember I couldn't get enough of it. I was listening to the song on repeat day after day. And the vocals by Tyler are beautiful as usual, and the saxophone hook just complements the vocal very well. It fits together perfectly, and the saxophone solo is just the cherry on top, and the outro does a great job of keeping the atmosphere that gets built up over the course of these 5 minutes. And I think it's an incredibly well made song. It's perfect, honestly. I even have a memory to share about the song. I remember it was a warm summer day. Some friends and I, we were driving to the lake. We were having a great time. We had a lot of fun. And in the evening, or in the night, I think it was around midnight, so it's fitting, we were driving home. And I'll never forget this feeling of the saxophone just breaking the silence in the car, and just listening to the song while the street lights were flashing by. It's something I'll always love coming back to, and every time I listen to the song, it pops up in my head, and yeah, those are the good times, man. So yeah, greetings from Switzerland.
And here we have Lucas talking about what this song means to him, what he thinks it's about, and he has some really cool stuff to say here.
Yeah, so first off, shout out to Lucas. He's one of the admins that runs the official Midnight Discord. If you guys haven't checked out the official Midnight Discord and you're a fan of the Midnight, it is an awesome community over there. People regularly talk about the band. There's a lot of music producers in there who share production tips or just cool finds on music. We've become really active in there, and it's something that I found myself checking all the time. And I know that Lucas and Craig are responsible for putting a lot of that together. I mean, they have weekly listening parties, but yeah, what he says is, howdy, okay, I've got some words on Vampires. Vampires, I think, is essentially an ode to those Friday nights in the city, weaving a fly-on-the-wall narrative of two individuals meeting through a crowd of strangers in the club/bar or wherever they may be, and later on having some form of romantic encounter before the protagonists part ways with no intention of seeing each other again the following morning. Tyler's skill of visualization through his lyrics can take you to a grand, regal, gothic nightlife destination. The hustle and bustle of everyone shouting and trying to understand each other over the loud music, and catching a wondrous glimpse of those in the VIP's booth with ice buckets. All of this set to the pulse-pounding sounds provided by Tim. The song creates a very cinematic picture of what this all could look like, and that's the beauty of the Midnight. You're only led down the path halfway and then left to draw your own conclusions. Everybody's interpretation is going to be different, which leads to excellent discussion among the fans. You nailed it, man. That is an awesome, visual representation of it.
And I like the whole "he only takes you halfway" part. That's how I feel about this. Of all the Midnight songs prior to this, I feel like they were all pretty straightforward and what they were meaning. I mean, obviously there's some interpretation, but I think they were more literal, where this one has a lot left to make you think and come up with your own conclusions.
And I really like what Lucas said there about how it's almost got a club feel to it, because there is a lot of pulsing type of sounds there, and it does feel loud, or like I mean, Tyler gives you the visual that you're in a city, specifically New York. But yeah, that was awesome. Thank you for sending that in, Lucas. And like I said, if you guys haven't checked out the Midnight Discord, we'll link it down below. It's a really, really awesome place to hang out, meet fellow Midnight fans, meet fellow synthwave fans, discover new music. Sometimes the band is active in there too, so definitely check that out and show them some love.
Thanks everyone for sharing those. As always, we appreciate your guys' feedback and you guys checking us out every episode. So that's Vampires. Awesome track, man. That's just, I can throw this on to be, put in the mood, to get uplifted, get some energy. That sax just puts life into you. And speaking of sax, I mean, this carries on into the next song, where we have a very sax heavy song, and that song is Crockett's Revenge. Alright everybody, thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Also check out our Wave React series, where we react to different synthwave, retrowave songs. We just covered The Weeknd's new song, which really dives into this genre. So you might find some new music there that you might appreciate.
Like Ryan said, definitely like this video or subscribe, or both. We usually don't throw out all of our socials, but I figure we might as well. So follow us on Twitter. Here's our Twitter. Also follow us on Instagram too. We're super active on Twitter. We talk to a lot of you guys on there. Like I said, we're on Discord too. We'll link all that stuff in the description. If you dig this video, we're going through every single song by The Midnight. We'd really, really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. Definitely helps us out quite a bit. Yeah, man. Vampires in the bag. 8 songs down, 4 to go.
There's that sax to play us out here.
Yep.
See you guys in the next one. Peace.
See ya.